Joining me now, as he does every Monday, is best-selling author and associate editor of The Spectator, Douglas Murray. Douglas, let's start in Manchester, where a group of trans activists, including a group of black-clad men in balaclavas, attacked a lone woman during a protest at the statue of a suffragette leader. This is like some sort of a movie. Have a look. Now, if that spectacle wasn't bad enough, Douglas, police were there. They watched that happen. They saw a woman being manhandled by men, including men in balaclavas, and then they did nothing to stop that, but they did appear later to go and have a stern word to the victim. I mean, this whole thing has come about because an activist group called Trans Rise Up showed up to stop women speaking about women's rights.
It's just amazing, Rita, isn't it? It's like that comedy sketch from some years ago where two Nazis in the trenches both look at the skulls on their caps and turn to each other and say, "Do you think maybe we're the bad guys?" You know,
Yes.
when you're at the position of claiming that you're standing up for minority rights and you hijack a statue of a suffragette and you dress as black ninjas and you're men and you attack women, maybe you're the bad guys. Maybe it's not the TERFs and all of the other names they invent to try to degrade and denigrate women. Maybe it's not them. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's you dudes who have all sorts of psychological problems and don black garb and try to dress as ninjas and intimidate women. Maybe you're the bad guys. As for the police, I mean, it is just another example of the abject way in which British police behave on this sort of thing. They are so busy chasing non-crimes. They don't even chase an actual crime when it's happening right in front of their noses.
In front of their noses. I mean, if you look at the longer video, you see the police officer standing a couple of metres away from that scene we just showed you with that poor woman having multiple people intimidating and manhandling her. But there is, Douglas, definitely a split occurring in the feminist movement with those who see the clash between trans rights and women's rights and those who are very much on board with the trans agenda. And I would say that latter group is the much bigger and more influential group.
That's possible. You can always tell somebody who knows nothing about this subject when they say it's straightforward and there's no problem with trans rights. There's people who say that and just haven't thought about this for a moment. Very, very clearly by now, as I say this for like the slow learners at the back of the class, like the people who dress as ninjas, very clearly by now, there are conflicts between women's rights and some trans rights. Definitely, definitely. And so the people who sort of pretend that it's just women who are being slow or in some way are being sort of deliberately bigoted and standing up for women's rights, those are the people who haven't thought about this at all. It's perfectly clear. It's been clear for years. This isn't a straightforward rights fight where you start with, as a suffragette, you go through women's rights and the rights of women to gain equal standing and privileges in society, and then you just immediately go on to trans rights. It's not like that at all. Trans rights run clearly counter to some very crucial women's rights. And anyone who doesn't understand that by now is either, as I say, one of the slow kids at the back of the class, or, as in this case, men who want to bully women and have found a really brilliant new disguise for doing so.
Well, yeah, there seems to be a lot of misogyny in this argument, I've got to say. And it's not even hidden misogyny. It's very much in-your-face misogyny. And the slow learners you talk about, I tell you, there's a lot of them in the Australian media who don't seem to appreciate this conflict at all.